National correspondent Mike Rigg joins us from Atlanta. That's where Ralph Abernathy Sr. worked alongside Martin Luther King. Now, 50 years later, Abernathy's grandson is a blossoming football star. Mike?
Old pirates, yes, they rob by, sold I to the merchant ships. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit, but my hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. We forward in this generation, triumphantly. Won't you help to sing another song of freedom?
Everywhere in Atlanta there are signs of where Ralph David Abernathy IV came from and what he can become. From highway signs to murals, the message is clear. Abernathy is no regular high schooler. Martin Luther King's dream wasn't his alone. One man was alongside King for all of his famous moments, from the Montgomery bus boycott of 1955 to the 1963 March on Washington. That man is Ralph Abernathy Sr., leader of the Civil Rights Movement and grandfather of one of the best running backs in high school football. Ralph David Abernathy was Martin Luther King's best friend and right-hand man during the Civil Rights Movement of the 1960s. Now, 50 years later, Abernathy's grandson is very aware of his family's special place in history.
I carry the name of a great man who changed the course of history. It's a weight. I wouldn't say it's a burden, it's just a weight, just something extra that I have to carry around with me. I have to carry myself a different kind of way than most 17-year-olds. It just makes me different than everybody else.
Ralph David Abernathy IV is one of the best football players in Atlanta, a model student and leader at the prestigious Westminster School. But Abernathy knows that everything he gives to the game of football, it can give even more back. The sport and the fame that accompanies it gives him a platform to advance his family's plight against inequality and poverty.
Using it as a platform is probably it's not the main reason I'm in it. The main reason I'm in it is because I love the game, but it also helps knowing that, if I make it to the NFL, I'll be financially stable to go out and help other people, and knowing that, if I'm, fame and all of that, I can change people's lives, having an impact on somebody's life is huge. Not very many people change other people's lives, and that's something I want to do. I want to make sure that if one kid isn't homeless anymore, one kid's not starving, then I've made a difference in the world.
I said to him, there may come a time, if you are able to go to the NFL, that you can then take that, leverage that, and open the door up for so many people, young people, who otherwise would not hear a message of love and unity, a message that you could touch people through your leadership on the football field and as an athlete, because that's a whole new era, a whole new door opening opportunity for him to touch a group of people and get their attention that otherwise would not necessarily be looking for that type of leadership from him as an athlete.
Ralph David Abernathy IV is so much more than an athlete. That's no knock against his athletic credentials. As a junior in 2009, he rushed for 1,200 yards and scored 21 touchdowns. The speedy running back already has scholarship offers from several major college programs.
But what sort of sets him apart, at least in my perspective, is his ability to see the hole and see it open and anticipate, and just his elusiveness once he breaks the line of scrimmage. I think he's one of the best players I've seen or coached, both on the high school level or collegiately, that once he gets past that first level, he has such an uncanny ability to make you miss that. If he can get through that first level, there's a good chance that he's going to go a long way. And it's just, he can make people miss. He just has that quick step and has that burst, and he can cut on a dime. And I think, to me, that's what sets him apart.
Abernathy is a superstar at a school that knows superstars. If you recognize some of the scenery around Westminster, that's because it was a setting for the major motion picture The Blind Side. featuring Sandra Bullock and Tim McGraw.
Saw Tim McGraw just walking around the campus one day and saw Sandra Bullock, and it's just weird because when you go back and like see them in real life and then you go look at the movie, like, wow, I actually saw them on my school.
Abernathy knows all about being a superstar from just being a part of one of the most famous families in the South.
My husband has a saying, being an Abernathy is a cross and a crown. And you can carry that cross and bear the cross, or you can get the rewards of wearing the crown. And I want him to be right in that middle. I don't want him to have the burden, and I don't want him to have all the glory. I want him to be a kid.
And in the class of 2011, there's no kid quite like Ralph David Abernathy IV. In Atlanta, Georgia, I'm Mike Rigg.